Hi, everybody. This is Gaynor Meilke, and today I'm excited to present AI-enabled marketing strategy for firms. And I want to kind of dig beneath the top layer of AI. I'm sure that many of you have had a chance to use mainstream AI tools and craft emails and maybe some blogs or different communications for your client base and your prospects as well. But there's so much more to using AI for really enabling a marketing strategy as opposed to just putting the pieces in a patchwork in place for the implementation. So today I want to talk more about strategy and then how you can take your strategy and move it into implementation in a very safe and effective way as well. So, uh, really happy to be here and be part of the Higgins Advisory Technology Conference. And a little bit about me. I am the owner of Charisma Inc., and we also work exclusively with tax and accounting firms under Accounting Ignited, which is kind of our CPA tax bookkeeping suite of services. I've been in the tax and accounting space for over 25 years, working at different technology vendors, agencies, and then I launched my own agency focusing on tax and accounting firms, technology providers, and influencers and speakers in our channel of accounting and tax about 13 years ago and have been working with all of you ever since. So I like to say that we bring the full circle of accounting together. And I think AI is one of those moments that we need each other more than ever. We need firms, obviously, to deliver the services to consumers and businesses and also be kind of the lights that drive technology providers to create better, more innovative solutions to support what you're doing and what the market demands. And then we need educators and speakers to make other accountants and business owners aware of all of the things that accountants do so well and how the profession really is, a hub for economic growth, especially when you're working with businesses and also, helping their owners and their families, do better with their financial picture as well. Because we all know that without solid numbers and a good tax and accounting position, nothing else in a business is going to go very well. So that's sort of my passion as well, is making sure that your tax and accounting firm is driven by you and your team like a business so that you can grow and evolve with the market. And as I said, AI is really that moment in time where the playing field has been leveled by technology. And nobody is really further ahead than anybody else because it's so new and there's so many different ways to apply AI. And in fact, I don't want to just limit our conversation here on AI. I want it to focus on the underlying strategy for your firm and then how AI can accelerate it. Now, we do at accountingignited.com and charismainc.com have a whole section and a whole library of resources for firms. So you're free to go and download things. We do Moving the Needle with the illustrious John Higgins, who, of course, is your host today. And he and I have some great conversations on YouTube with solution providers, practitioners, and also educators, which can kind of help give you the like up to the second take on what's happening, not only in the marketing realm. In fact, most of the time we're talking more about the application of technology, what it means for your firm, and all of the tools and tactics you can use to keep pace with this rapidly evolving space. So I'm also a author and ghostwriter. I've worked with a lot of accountants to deliver their message in the market through books. I've written some of my own, and one of my favorite books that I'm actually updating for the AI age that I've written, and I think is probably the most practical to think about, is the Bank Your Brain Blueprint. And the reason why I say that is because it provides an 8-step business plan for monetizing your professional knowledge. And I give a lot of examples of accounting in there, but it really applies to any kind of skill or expertise that you have. And I want to kind of use that as a reference point today because in this age where we're hyper competitive, people's attention is splintered all over the place. And there is a lot of AI that's being used by both consumers and, of course, in our businesses to try to kind of maybe shortcut some of the knowledge that was typically provided by a professional service provider in this space. I think that being able to differentiate yourself based on the true value of your expertise is the critical component that is missing for a lot of firms. And so we're going to talk about that as well, because if you think about what your marketing strategy is, it's really three things. It's how you are different than, other providers, and that doesn't mean that we're in cutthroat competition with every other firm. What it means is that I believe everybody brings something unique to the table, and you probably have different niches, and you've had different experiences within those niches over your career. You've had your nobody's career is exactly the same as somebody else's, and nobody's perspective is either. And that's really what the secret sauce on a marketing strategy is, no matter what tools you're using. It's how are we different? How do we deliver what the market wants? And then who are we targeting and where do they live, so to speak? Because I think where AI can be super helpful, but not a lot of people leverage it this way, is being able to utilize it to help your firm find those prospects in a number of different ways and also understand them better so that your marketing is really turnkey. So you can have that flywheel, if you will, of prospecting and marketing. So that's really what we're going to talk about today. Some of the learning objectives, since we're going to be getting CPE for this, is really understanding some of the fundamental principles of AI and how you can apply it to marketing, how to leverage AI tools and technologies to enhance your marketing campaigns. And we will talk about some specific tools and technologies, but at a really high level. We do a lot of implementation at Charisma Inc. and Accounting Ignited, and we're happy to always talk to firms about what you're using and how you might be able to actually tactically deliver on marketing campaigns. But today I want to talk more about what your strategy is and why you would even need these tools because uh, we're not chasing shiny objects. We're really chasing efficiency and effectiveness and results. So we want to think about not the tactics, but what we're trying to achieve, what the outcome is. And to that point, we're going to talk about some strategies for integrating AI into your marketing workflow. And what does a marketing workflow in this day and age even really look like? How can you measure your AI-driven marketing efforts. And again, it's not just about the fact that they're AI driven, it's about the fact that you're doing them. And a lot of people don't stop to consider, is what we're doing actually delivering results? And then we'll explore a few examples as well for how firms are using AI implementations in marketing. I'm going to share some of the things that we've done that have been effective for firms, and also, things that you might want to try. So some of the basics and concepts and terminology of AI will cover, and then really understanding what the purpose of AI can be within the guardrails of security and liability in your firm too, because I think this is something that cannot be overstated, is that while we're all excited to play with tools, and a lot of your team are probably already using AI, if they are not following specific guidelines in your firm, it opens up a whole new area of risk. And the other thing is that some of the challenges are pretty serious. So we've gone beyond, just using the latest tools for email marketing, or developing a YouTube channel. Some of these tools are really, learning based on what's being put into them, as we know. And so not having specific guardrails around how client data can be used, and also even your competitive advantages being put into tools like ChatGPT or Claude, that are like mainstream. They can be obviously used to not only educate the tool itself, but your competitors. And it can also potentially cause a liability issue because of data security and all of the FTC and IRS restrictions as well. And then there's the strategy development piece. So creating an AI integration plan so that these instances become part of the workflow, and we're not sort of going out of bounds and just trying things for the sake of trying things, which is part of any good marketing strategy. So one of the best use cases, I think, for some of the AI tools, especially if you're using Google Analytics, there's a lot of tools in Google itself where you can actually analyze your data. Like you can have um, Google Analytics analyze all of your, SEO results for, the past 3 years, and recommend a strategy for Google Ads. You could also do the same to update your website and suggest content as well. So that's one thing that you can do with your whole Google Ad setup. If you're doing any of those, you can also leverage AI to show you what's working and what's not really quickly, and then develop campaigns that will track on, the things that are actually working for you. And then on the evaluation short side of the track, it used to be, even just a couple of years ago, we were using tools to aggregate across marketing channels a kind of complete picture of what the ROI was based on the spend on marketing versus all the results of tools. And it was kind of a pain, even though there were tools that could aggregate it by integrating certain apps like email marketing and social. Now you can really train uh, Google or Claude or ChatGPT to go look at all of your data and aggregate it and make a marketing strategy recommendation. So those are all, specific cases where you can get your data together look at it and then get kind of a mini plan together as well. So some of the things that we like to use, Claude is really great for like longer content and also some design. Copilot, if you're using Microsoft Office, I really like that for kind of quick tasks and also being able to kind of aggregate documents into a cohesive like ebook or potentially even showing you like where there are gaps in your content strategy as well. In Gemini, which is a Google tool, you can create gems, and those are kind of like agentic AI. So you could have Google analyze what's working on your social channels and then do a outline of social posts that you can review. Now, one of the things that I will caution you on is, of course, you don't want to just take what's being given verbatim, and also with anything else, you'll want to check it for accuracy, especially with some of the if you're doing posts around iOS updates or things that are more technically based. And another important thing to remember is that none of your AI content is actually copyrighted. So if you're using AI to develop an ebook or even a book, to sell your expertise, remember that you can't copyright that, and you also need to disclose that to your audience as well. Uber Suggest is another tool which can be used more on the content strategy side. And then Opus Clips, I mean, there's a lot of video tools now. Opus Clips I like because you can make YouTube shorts out of longer content relatively quickly. But don't overlook all of the AI tools that are baked into the platforms that you're already using. And hopefully in your firm itself, as far as workflow for tax and accounting and bookkeeping, you're already leveraging solutions that have AI that are built for accounting and tax firms and bookkeeping firms, because that to me is kind of a easy low-hanging fruit win-win, because you can ask, for example, one of our clients is Canopy. I just had Canopy's accountant in residence on our Moving the Needle video series this week, and with their Canopy coworker, you can actually ask all kinds of questions about your current CRM and where are there opportunities to market, what kind of communications can you develop in order to get your tax documents in on time, or maybe there's an internal memo that needs to be drafted. There's all kinds of things that you can do using the tech that you already have, and that is part of your workflow. Listio is another example um, of customer experience software and portals. So you can actually use some of their communication tools, which are AI driven as well, to develop kind of onboarding or client communication templates. And the beauty of doing that is that all of your data is going to stay within your contained system. And it's also giving you a very um, easy resource that you can use to develop uh, strategy and also implement some communications and marketing tactics based on the very rich reservoir of existing client data and prospect client data, which I do a whole other training actually on mining your client database for gold. And um, I actually call it mining your client database for goals, which is the really great opportunities, um, and then we're leveraging success. So that's there when you're not using some of these AI tools to be able to mine your data effectively, you're really missing the boat on developing a whole um, marketing strategy because without knowing like, where your opportunities are, where your gaps are, what services your client base could use, and what the market wants that you could be delivering, you're really going into it blind and just maybe practicing the same strategy but with different tools, and it's not necessarily going to be as effective. One thing that we always love to talk to firms about as well are YouTube videos or videos of any kind because um, I think probably by now everybody knows that video has basically eclipsed TV when it comes to viewership. YouTube is actually the most watched digital streaming channel, and it's far surpassed TV as well. So, and when we talk about TV, cable TV, obviously, but the reason why I bring this up, I want to drill down on it, is that you don't have to be developing videos yourself. You can use whiteboard videos. You can use AI generated avatars if that's something that aligns with your marketing strategy. And I think that's where some firms kind of fall down is that the personal touch is so important in differentiating yourself, especially in the uh, AI age where there's so much AI slop, as we call it, out on the internet and on all these social channels that I think you either need to embrace and having a alter ego, and whether that alter ego is a real person who's like a spokesperson for your firm, or it's kind of an avatar of you, maybe more of a kind of like persona versus actually real deal. You're on camera. I think you kind of have to choose because people are going to doubt whether it really is you regardless. And that takes away from the credibility of accountants. And it's not just accounting and tax professionals, it's across the board. So if you choose to do video, and video is still number one medium for SEO and also AEO, which is AI search. Um, it's super important because one, as we know, SEO, the algorithm, Google actually rewards YouTube videos as one of the highest means of credibility if you have a library of them and you produce good quality content. But the AI engines actually consume video and can parse it much easier than written material. And that's why it's also probably like the two for one deal in SEO, which is search engine optimization and AI engine optimization, and this is how your firm can get found organically, and it also will support the strength of your website and other marketing efforts. We like to use TubeBuddy for YouTube because it will actually it's an AI driven engine that will look at similar content as to what you're creating or what you want to create and pull from across YouTube other creators. So you can kind of see what's working for them. And then it will suggest headlines and SEO titles, and you can even create your own videos in there as well. So if you haven't seen TubeBuddy, you can check that out. It will score your videos, your competitors' videos. It literally is, I would say, like just a powerhouse tool for anybody who wants to leverage YouTube. I would say that if you're going to take anything away from this presentation, I would update your website for AEO engines, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Become comfortable with some video strategy on YouTube and look into what your long-term strategy is going to be from brand building in an AI age. So this all ties back into using video, how you're going to design your website, and then how you're going to actually use AI and leverage it for your firm. So once you have a solid strategy and you've given some thought on what type of clients you want, where you can find them, how you can position your firm for your differentiation, and then how you're going to basically distinguish yourself in a sea of AI generated content and AI um, created expertise. I use that term lightly, expertise. You need to be able to get your marketing tools in order. So we'll talk about how to use it. We've kind of talked about some of the benefits already, um, namely, efficiency, being able to be creative, being able to get your strategy together, to ask questions about your audience, and to do research on your audience as well as finding places beyond, Google, YouTube, um, that you can tap into to reach your prospects. And then, what does the future look like in AI marketing, plus the compliance and copyright? We're going to talk a little bit more about that as well.